Hey guys, this is Real Appalachia with Shane.
And Melody.
We're out here on a beautiful summer day.
That's right.
Summer evening, actually.
That's right. I've been mowing today.
Have you?
I have, yeah. So I'm probably looking sweaty and stuff.
No, I wouldn't know it just to look at you.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we thought today we would check out Google and answer you guys' most asked questions about Appalachia. And hopefully it's you guys. Hopefully we're answering some questions better than Google today. What do you think?
Well, we've cheated and we already looked at the list, didn't we?
A little bit, yeah, because we wanted to be prepared.
I know. We were just curious.
Yes.
We wanted to see what it would say, and that's what kind of sparked this whole thing. Is you had the idea of let's just see what kind of questions people might have, and then you saw this list, and it's like, well, let's talk about them.
Yes.
So that's led us to here where we are now. This very moment.
Exactly right. Yeah. So should we get started?
Let's do it. I'm gonna take a sip of sweet tea just to stay in character or whatever.
Okay. Do Appalachians drink sweet tea? Oh my gosh.
No way.
No, I'm just kidding.
I thought that. I'm sure you're.
So the first one is our Appalachians inbred.
Oh,
We've already done a video on this.
Yeah.
So pretty in depth. So basically, to sum up that video, not every Appalachian is inbred.
Not even close.
Not even close.
I know I don't want to go refight that battle, but
yeah, we don't want to go refight that battle, but I think it was mostly because of in response to another video. Just go watch that video if you have more questions.
Yeah.
But basically, inbreeding has happened in Appalachia over the years, especially back in the day, but it's happened everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's not just contained to Appalachia, and from research that we read and stuff, it doesn't seem like it's particularly higher in Appalachia than anywhere else in the world.
It's one of those things you don't know where the real basis for that began, but it really snowballed and took on a life of its own. But
yeah.
Because people are so curious about that topic, period. So
yeah, and I think this list shows there's always been a lot of negativity about Appalachia, and that's what's in a lot of people's heads.
Oh yeah.
Negative things about Appalachia. So, saying that moves us on to the next one. Are Appalachians poor? Yeah. I would say Appalachia is a more poor region than a lot of places in the country. Definitely so. I mean, we had a lot of isolation from the rest of the world back in the day, and now with the coal industry tanking out, that's really hurt the area. Drugs have been an epidemic here, and that is, if you've watched Dope Sick, you see that Big Pharma actually come after Appalachia and targeted it as an area to push drugs, and I think that that's really affected us economically. But is every Appalachian poor? No. What's your thoughts?
No, I agree. I think a lot of, especially like you said, a lot of people think of Central Appalachia in particular. That's where most of this comes from. And they think of it being poor, and to some degree that's true, like you said, for the same reasons. You know, a lot of these towns, people don't realize that some of these towns wouldn't even be here. Was it not for the coal companies. They built them, they made these coal camps, and then the people who were able-bodied, young, mobile, moved off to, more profitable areas. A lot of them went to Ohio, auto industry, they went to Detroit, moved away. They had to just job chase, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of people that were left behind were infirm, poor, disabled, whatever. And that's what got left behind, and then that's kind of become a generational thing. But
I would argue too that although we may be an area that has been more poor historically, I think that a lot of poor people that you would talk to, even me, I grew up poor. You kind of grew up poor. We don't feel poor because we have a lot of different values than other places in the world. We value family and faith and community, and you know, that's the important things in life to us, and really should be to everybody. That's what's meaningful and lasting. And so we don't really feel poor because we feel like very blessed.
Yeah, that's the thing. We're poor in money, but rich in a lot of other ways.
Exactly.
And, you know, I've talked about this before several times, I guess, but, you know, both of us have opportunities. We can move away easily and made a lot more money. I mean,
Right.
I've had multiple opportunities to do that.
Right.
I just don't have any interest in doing that because this is home. I love it. And
That's where family is, and
yeah, that's where,
connections.
like you say, I get my wealth from the roots and the family, and I don't get it from chasing a job and making $10,000 more or $20,000 more a year.
Exactly.
And for some people, they value that and they need it, and I don't blame them either. But it's just a personal choice, and I don't feel poor.
Nope. My
Bank account might tell you different, but
I never felt poor. I've never felt poor at all because, like I said, I had things that were important to me. Yeah.
now there's people here that do have money.
That might be another topic that might be a topic that we need to get into a more in-depth video about too. Yeah. Are Appalachians Southern?
No, not necessarily.
Some Appalachians are Southern.
Yeah, some of them very much so
Not
are.
all.
And not all.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's defined, you know, by culture. Again, where we come from, we're talking about Central Appalachia.
Yeah.
And you can go all the way up to New York, Canada, and all that kind of stuff. But for what we're talking about, basically the part that we cover, West Virginia, Eastern Kentucky, Southwest Virginia, Eastern Tennessee, and Western North Carolina basically covers our area.
Yes.
And so there's a dividing line there. But even within that, not all Southern.
Yeah. We're Central Appalachia, the states that we cover right now anyways, because it's right at that Mason-Dixon line.
Yeah.
You know, West Virginia is not in the South, even though a lot of people would think it might be. Kentucky's not in the South. And then a lot of like Tennessee, East Tennessee, they were pro-Union or pro-Confederate. I'm wrestling a cat.
Yeah, so they don't, you know, what do you consider yourself? I mean, this is a topic I thought we would discuss later in more in depth because we're both Southern and Appalachian. Which more do you identify more with?
I would say Appalachia, because there's different, I mean, I do consider myself Southern, but, of course, but there's some differences in Southern and Appalachia, and like I'm all Appalachian, but I'm not all Southern, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
No, please explain.
Okay, this might be a good one for a more in-depth video.
I've got a lot of passion behind this myself too.
Well, what do you feel?
I used to feel more Southern. I feel like by choice maybe I would be Southern, but I feel like the world looks at me and puts you in a box to where I feel more Appalachian, if that makes sense.
I guess.
You know, I was raised, you love the Southern culture and heritage and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, it's not necessarily, like you said, it doesn't exactly correlate with being Appalachian.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have the Southern bells and the plantations and
there's some different aspects to the South.
When you think of
and what you think of like the Deep South, and the South is different than the Deep South too.
True, very much true.
Yeah, I think that needs to be a whole other video.
We got a lot of the same qualities as far as kindly, you know, friendly, polite.
But Appalachia was more of an isolated region than just the South, so I feel like that's affected us in more ways, if that makes sense. So.
Well, like I say, we're isolated. We've never been a priority. We didn't have. Well, the thing that I most relate to the South to is kind of odd because there was King Cotton in the South. And they were driven by this one major industry that provided all their wealth. Well, what do you know? King Coal came along, and that's the Appalachian version of King Cotton.
Right, yeah.
And it's just strange that
There's a lot of cultural differences. And I don't want us to get too in-depth here.
No, because
this needs to be a whole other video.
Yeah.
But to answer, are Appalachians Southern? Some Appalachians are Southern, some Appalachians are in the North. So
if you're blessed, like we are, you're both.
We're not in the North.
No, I said Southern.
Oh,
We're Southern and Appalachian.
Yes.
No,
exactly.
No.
Okay, so the next one is, are Appalachians Irish? You may not see that.
I am. I've got a good portion of Irish.
I have a good portion of Irish in me also. Yeah, so a lot of Appalachians are Irish, especially in Southwest Virginia. I think that was a big area of Irish. I guess Pennsylvania, too.
Yeah, they call it Scots-Irish, and then, you see a lot of things that popped up to celebrate that heritage, like Grandfather Mountain has that day.
Oh, yeah.
They have the games and all that kind of stuff where it really, hill people came, a lot of those came from the Scots-Irish and even some German, but I think most people think of Scotland and Ireland.
Yeah, and I would think it would be a majority, more so than German.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so that was a good question. Okay, so the next question are Appalachians hillbillies. I'm a hillbilly. Do you identify as a hillbilly? How about you?
Of course, yeah. You're going to identify it. People will identify you that way, but you also identify yourself that way. And there's a lot more positive association with that word than there used to be. Don't you think? I think it was pejorative. It wasn't like people referred to themselves.
You're a lot older than I am.
Yeah, maybe that's it too. Because I think before it was kind of try to be a mini version of a slur. And some people still use it that way. Hillbilly, hick, hayseed, all that kind of stuff to try to put negative connotations.
I don't like being called a redneck. I've been to the north before, and they're like, "Oh, you're from the south. You're a redneck."
Yeah,
and I'm like, "No, I'm not a redneck. I'm a hillbilly."
Why is that word more?
I think that everybody has their own ideas of what these words mean, I guess. But and I know some people say like they're a proud redneck.
Yeah, I've seen that too at times.
I've seen that, but I just identify it more as like the stereotype of Southern Appalachia, and I don't feel like that's me. But as far as being a hillbilly, like a hill person from the hills, yeah, I'm a hillbilly, and I'm proud of it.
I'm going to get in trouble maybe for this, but I used to define it 3 different ways. There's a lot of terms you hear thrown around. There's 3 basic ones: hillbilly, redneck, and white trash. And they're all a little different to me.
Yeah.
To me, if I was defining them, hillbilly is a simple person, likes that old low-key life, and doesn't really
come from the hills.
Yeah, lives a simple life, enjoys the small things in life, God-fearing. That's what I think of when I think of hillbilly.
Right.
When I think of redneck, I think a loudmouth, obnoxious guy that drinks all the time. Just a redneck trying to get attention for themselves.
Yeah.
And then when I think of white trash, it's immoral, low life. God knows.
I think that white trash is somebody that could be from anywhere.
Oh, me too.
You could be from California and
definitely
white trash.
Definitely.
That's the way I look at it. Redneck, yeah, it's. That's kind of what I think too. I kind of agree with you, even if we do get some hate for it.
I know, but I like some rednecks. I don't see that myself that way, but like I like the. I think of the Leonard Skinner loving. Motorcycle driving, they're just.
I think well, I don't want to go there, I guess. But
well, you didn't went out here to this far, but if it's too bad, we'll edit it out.
I think of like a toothless person getting too drunk in their driveway after, working on a bunch of junk cars and maybe stealing some scrap metal here and there.
That's borderline white trash right there. But
well, yeah, it's borderline white trash.
That's hot-tempered, ready to fight.
Yes.
That's the first thing I think rednecks. They're just constantly. So somebody will be threatening us. You call me a redneck, I'll punch you in the neck.
And some people are going to love to be called rednecks, and they're not going to be happy with what we're saying.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
But that's just our opinion. We don't.
That might be another one. That's a good another topic for a whole video. But in short, our Appalachians hillbillies. It depends on how you identify.
I think if anybody defines the word hillbilly more, then there's nobody more than Appalachia, though.
Yeah, I agree.
You might hear those
because I think of just
too,
people from the hills, basically, and know how to kind of live off the land. That's kind of what I think of it as a hillbilly. So yeah, I would agree with you. Like, if anybody's a hillbilly in an area, it'd say Appalachians.
If anybody's a hillbilly, it's people from Man, West Virginia, because they're the Man High Hillbillies.
That's right.
One of the best nicknames in history of high school sports.
That's right. Okay, the next one's similar to what we've answered already. Are Appalachians Irish or Scottish? Both.
Both, yeah, mostly.
Scots-Irish.
I had a DNA test, and I've got Scottish heritage and Irish and Wales and England.
Me too.
Oh.
Yeah, me too. And we're not related.
No, in any way, shape, form, or fashion, believe it or not.
Okay, the next one I like are Appalachians Friendly. You can see the little list again there. Or Appalachians Friendly. I think most Appalachians are friendly.
I do too, but I've got a statement on that you probably won't like either.
Uh-oh.
I think in general, like when I've traveled north, I went to New York, I went to Boston, people treated me well when they heard I had a southern accent because they assumed me to be nice and friendly.
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff. I don't know that I think we're friendlier than most places, but here's where I get off the rails here with you probably. I don't know that it's always genuine, and here's why. I think you live in a small town, you can't afford to offend people, you know what I mean? Like you've got to deal with these people, so you got to be on better terms than Joe Q, New York City, who will never see you again as long as you live. They can be abrupt and just dismiss you and never see you again, and you have no impact on their life. If you go down here and make the cop mad, or you make the,
I don't know. I don't agree with that.
I figured we wouldn't agree on that. But
yeah, I don't agree with that. And I would think this question would be more from an outsider's perspective. Like if somebody from Canada was driving through Appalachia, would they be met with friendly people? And I would think that would kind of depend on region to region. If you're in a really isolated part and they don't know you, they might think that you're up to no good and they might not be friendly. But I think in general, Appalachian people are friendly to outsiders.
That's a tricky one.
Maybe not if you move in and try to buy up a bunch of property or something, but if you're just around visiting, I think that most of the time you're going to be shown hospitality.
I completely agree with where it depends on where you go. I think if you go up some of these hollers and you're from the north or whatever, you're going to have a little bit harder time. I think people are going to be suspicious and not be as friendly, certainly not as open for the most part. I think they'll be questioning, and you got to, they'll have their guard up.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that that's not even unfriendly, it's just protective. It's not.
Yeah, just
not harsh or mean.
Each other.
Yeah, looking out for themselves, because you just don't see that usually when that thing happens.
And I've actually heard stories that outsiders would tell, like I'd come through Appalachia and I was questioned, like, where are you from? What are you doing around here? And then if you give like a good answer, like I'm visiting family, I'm just passing through, blah, 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 then they're like, okay, we'll have a good trip, and you go about your business. If you're from the north and you've got cameras and you're like, I'm doing a video on inbred people in Appalachia, and I mean, you might be not met with this friendly,
I got my own story about that. I went to Keokee and got pinned in by a truck. It's the only time it's happened to. I got a guy blocked me in with his truck, got out find out what I was up to. And then when I told him I'm just out here videotaping coal camps, stuff like that, then he turned to friendly and showed me around, told me where things were and that kind of stuff. And he's very friendly and open, but at first, very suspicious. And let's be honest, why wouldn't you be? Because usually if somebody's outside, if they're government or whatever, it's usually not a good thing. Revenue or somebody coming after to get you in trouble.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
It's like, it's not always a good thing.
Yeah, you can say that. Okay. Appalachians are an example of which fold mountains? I don't know if I understand that question.
Oh, yeah.
Appalachians are from Appalachian Mountains.
Yeah, I've never heard of. Oh, which? I thought you like witch, like Granny Witch type thing, yeah.
No. Which fold mountains? The Appalachian Mountains.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. So that was on the topic of are Appalachians, and then what were the most popular searches. Under is Appalachia. Some of them don't really pertain to Appalachia. We can share these in like a little picture, so hopefully you can see better. But one that really stuck out to me is Appalachia dangerous? And that kind of goes along with that. Are Appalachians friendly? Is Appalachia dangerous? It probably depends on which part of Appalachia that you're in and what your intentions are while you're there.
Yeah. I mean, you might end up in a bad spot of town. Because, I mean, frankly, it's just the truth. Some of these places are drug infested. So if you get in one of those places, you might just be in plain old trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a fact.
Yeah.
But, by and large, if you go to Main Street of anywhere, you're going to be just fine and dandy. There's nothing going to happen. It's just when you...
I mean, I feel like it's like that about anywhere. When we went to Memphis, We kind of talked to some people. We did our research before we went. We kind of knew what areas to stick to and what time we needed to be back at the hotel by to stay safe.
Yeah, it's just, you got to just, certain things you got to watch for. But for by and large, you're going to be fine. If you're coming just to blow through and take pictures or whatever, you're 99 chances in 10, you're going to be just fine.
Yeah.
But, is it danger-free? No, not necessarily.
No, but is anywhere danger-free?
True. Very good point.
Yeah. All right. So I think that kind of wraps it up for us on the most popular Google questions of Appalachia and Appalachian people. So we hope that you like this video. If you did, give us a thumbs up, share it, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already.
Yes.
Yes.